Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our spoiler-filled review of Hawkeye episode 1 and 2, which is now streaming on Disney+. You guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Reaction Wednesday, man. It's been a while since we've done this. Since, Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, well, no. What If? I think What If was
right,
the last one that we actually were up late on Wednesday night, on Tuesday nights to be able to catch the drop at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, but those episodes are, so, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit easier with this one.
These are a little bit longer.
Just under an hour. So we are going to talk a little bit of Hawkeye, which is the live-action Disney Plus Marvel show. The fourth one, I think, in its library. We've got WandaVision, we've got Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now Hawkeye. And you're probably wondering, hey, how come you guys aren't doing reactions? Well, that's actually because we went to the Hawkeye launch event and we actually got to see the first 2 episodes at the El Capitan Theater. So we didn't feel like it was right to film a reaction since we've already seen it. So like we wouldn't be reacting. We would just be rewatching. So we decided that we would do a spoiler-filled review with some visual guides. So we'll pull some video from the show so you know what we're referring to. So we'll give you a little bit of that. But for episode 3, make sure you're subscribed and you come back for episode 3 because then we'll treat it like a normal reaction and then I'll be up until 6 a.m. editing the video. So with that said, before we give our final thoughts or anything like that, we should probably just dive into kind of the moments of the show, some of the moments we liked.
Yes.
We thought that was cool. So, episode 1, we've got, obviously, for our leading actors in this series, we've got Jeremy Renner reprising his role as Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, and we've got Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. I've been very, very excited to see her as Kate Bishop, to see how the chemistry was going to be between her and Hawkeye. Well, from what we saw in the trailer, we know that she is like a big fan.
Oh, yeah. And also, I loved how they did set up the fact that Kate Bishop would be incredibly, I don't want to say enamored. I think that's probably a really good, she idolizes Hawkeye because of that whole scene at the very beginning that I think they set up really well. As soon as they came out and said 2012, I was like, oh, I know where this is gonna be leading. Yeah. Right on to the attack of New York. And they set up the family dynamics with Kate Bishop and her dad and her mom, all to lead up to a big boom.
Yeah, you see the Chitauri flying by the window.
Mm-hmm. I do admit, I think they reacted a little slow. I mean, you see a flying, the first thing you're like is, what the hell was that? Turn on the news kind of a thing.
Yeah, but I feel like New York is also one of those cities that's seen a lot of, stuff. If you want to get real meta with it, and let's forget about what belongs in the MCU and what doesn't belong in the MCU, like, I mean, if you want to, like, just kind of take in a reference because the movie's out right now, like Ghostbusters Stay Puft. Well, I think New Yorkers have seen things that are a little bit different, that they're just kind of like,
true, and they also do
just
have,
a man in the sky.
And that's true because also at that time, people always looked up to the skies around Stark Tower to see if they can get a glimpse at Iron Man flying around. So I guess things flying around in New York is kind of a common thing. Yeah. But the fact that it leads straight from that into the Battle of New York and Kate Bishop is kind of saved by Hawkeye.
Yeah, and she looks out the window and she see what he does, the backwards, the iconic Hawkeye shot, and she's like,
and then he swings down.
Who I want to be. So then we cut
and she's like, I need a bow.
I need a bow. Yeah, I know. That was it's a very comic book line, I feel like. And I was like, okay, I'm here for it. And we follow Kate Bishop as she grows up, as she continues to train and make sure that she is just kind of as best as she can get. A lot of these martial arts, these skills being, in archery, in taekwondo. I think she was black belt in taekwondo and fencing.
Yeah, she got fencing, and that was kind of the point, is the fact that they were really saying, like, just so she has the training to be a super spy kind of a thing.
And the whole premise of the show, of episode 1, obviously setting up for Kate Bishop to finally meet Hawkeye. So we obviously catch a Hawkeye in New York with his kids sitting in on the one and only Rogers, the musical. And it's interesting because, like, I was very kind of fangirling out over. I was like, wait, if they made this in real life, I think I'd actually go see it just because.
Even though I have to admit, they really should have called it Avengers the Musical.
Yeah, why just
because
Rogers?
that's what it really did seem like it was turning into, was the one musical number that we got was
Yes.
like, this looks more like the formation of the Avengers and not Steve Rogers. Like, I think if they were really going to call it Rogers, they should have shown that moment where he's actually turning into Captain America.
That'd be cool.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, falling out of
But they did also need to show the fact that Clint was having a little bit of
PTSD.
PTSD, my apologies, PTSD with that musical number of the Battle of New York, which is completely understandable because that's when your whole world kind of turns into from, oh, I'm a super spy, into we're being invaded by aliens.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game. And then you have, the stage. He's looking up at the stage, and they're like da 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 da. And of course, the flash of memory, seeing the actor on stage playing Black Widow.
Yeah.
And going to kind of his reaction, showing that he certainly is very obviously very affected by what had happened with Natasha because he was right there and he
was on a different planet,
Well, I also don't want
the two of them.
Yeah, and it's not like it wasn't one of those things that like he didn't hold on and that's why she died. It's one of those she made the decision, but that's his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through so much together, so to kind of see that and you see that addressed throughout both of these episodes, I would say little nods of like Natasha here and there, but he's spending time with his kids, trying to like full-time dad as opposed to like part-time Avenger, part-time dad.
And now it's also very much it looks like he's trying to make up for all the Christmases that he wasn't there, for all the times that he wasn't there. It's like, kids, we are going to have the best Christmas possible. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to go see the biggest Christmas tree you've ever seen, to kind of make up for the fact that this is the first Christmas that I'm not doing anything.
With the exception that, Kate Bishop is at I think it's her mother's auction, some sort of fancy schmancy gala auction. And
I don't think it was technically an auction. I think the auction was underground.
Was the black market
That
auction.
was the black market auction.
Yes.
But the gala was definitely there. It was a party.
Disguise.
And the one to kind of celebrate. Oh, it was like her business.
Something like that. But the important
security business.
The important part was there was a whole seedy underground auction there, and that's where we see the Ronin suit and the sword, and they're auctioning it off, and you sense the tension between Jack and his uncle already right there, who is getting ready to marry Kate's mom, who is very rich, and the uncle certainly made it known, like, it's like, you don't have money.
I don't like her.
I don't like her, threatens her, and also kind of puts a little, like, lords over his nephew a little bit, if you will. Kind of like, you need to put your paddle down. You're not bidding on this. Where are you going to have that money? So they definitely set up these characters to have some of these tensions and conflicts before the tracksuit mafia breaks in. I want to call them a gang, they're mafia.
And I like the fact that even Kate was like, isn't that a little bit of hitting it on the nose?
She said what we were all thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think isn't it also correct that in the comic book that's what they're called?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not just on the nose, it's literally going straight to the source material.
They were looking specifically for a watch. Mm-hmm. We don't know exactly what the importance of it is. It
had something to do with Avengers, I want
to
say.
It also,
I can't remember what
a lot of the things that they were selling at the auction were things that were taken from the rubble of Avengers Tower.
Yes. So, and that's where we see Kate was like, well, I better take this suit that is right in front of me.
Yoink!
And then Jack takes the sword, which we'll see that come into play a little bit later on. But she dons the suit. So all of a sudden, after years of silence, Ronin mysteriously has appeared. Hawkeye catches wind of this and is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because he even said, like, that suit, and I don't remember if this is episode 1 or 2, but that suit has done a lot of bad things it has a lot
It
of
has
baggage.
A lot of baggage.
A lot of baggage.
There's going to be a lot of people who see that suit and are going to come hunting.
And they sure do come hunt for her.
Pretty fast.
And through that also, I want to interject and say that we get introduced to the pizza dog, which is the most adorable, like the dog eating pizza.
Now, we have to admit, they have not really shown the important... I think there's something very important about this dog, because Kate Bishop finds the dog in front of the party, the front entrance of the party, just sitting there, and then you hear kind of whistle, and then the dog takes off. So I'm kind of like...
If you guys know anything about the pizza dog, don't spoil it for us in the comments, because we want to find out as the show goes on.
Mm-hmm.
We like to ask that of you guys. So in any case, the Tracksuit Mafia is very keen on getting that suit, and Hawkeye was like, nobody can have that suit, I gotta hide that. And that is where the episode ends, where he essentially kind of gets Kate Bishop out of the bind, and then is like, who are you? And then reveals who she is. He's like, oh, come on. And that kind of right there sets the dynamic, I think, for the two of them. And she's like, you're Hawkeye.
Stars in her eyes of, oh my gosh, you're my role model for so many years. You saved my life. And yeah, you can just easily tell that she's like, oh, I'm your ward now. Teach me.
Teach me everything. You know, I'm gonna be like apprenticing, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna be an Avenger, right? I'm gonna be a part of the team, right?
Yeah, which is essentially kind of what episode 2 is, the reluctance of Hawkeye kind of having this girl shadow him,
and he's like,
and
nope.
her being completely just starry-eyed, starstruck. If Kate Bishop was going to be starstruck by anybody, it would be Hawkeye, her childhood hero. And, you know, they kind of start this adventure together of tracking down the suit.
It's quite an interesting track.
He goes on quite the adventure of sneaking back into Kate's little apartment that got burned down, to finding that one of the firefighters yoinked it and has to sign up for LARPing in order to get it back. And I find that because they spend a bit of time.
It was
with
a
the
big
LARPers.
chunk of time.
Yeah.
So much time to where a part of me is going, all of these LARPers have to come back sooner or later, because they gave them a lot of, some of these LARPers a lot of dialogue, and they gave them a lot of screen time. So I'm guessing there's gonna be a moment somewhere probably near the finale when Hawkeye and Kate Bishop need some help. And fortunately, since Hawkeye did what he did by kind of being like,
he gave the guy his honor. He's like, let me kill you and you can have the suit. The guy he was true to his word. You know, he gave it back. He's like, here you go. Like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that comes into play during the finale.
I have a feeling that it's going to come back to help Clint in some way, because it's just one of those it looked like a setup kind of a thing.
So going back to Kate Bishop, she discovers that Jack's uncle has been murdered in his own building, inside his home, and completely freaked out. And so she's got some questions. She's never really trusted Jack or liked him from the get-go anyways. And me as the audience also is kind of like, there's something
He seems
this
a little
one's
sleazy.
hiding something. Yeah. So, you know, they kind of get into it at dinner. They try to settle it via an epee match, where I was kind of like this. In my head, honestly, before seeing this, I thought, oh, for sure, Kate's going to one-up him. She's got all the medals. She's trained. She's younger, so she can be faster. That's kind of what I was thinking. But he was definitely toying with her.
Yeah.
For sure. And he was just letting her
And she noticed.
win. Yeah.
Even though, since I've done a lot of fencing, I know foil, I know epee, I know saber. When they were using the saber, they were actually not using a saber style. They were actually using more of like an epee style.
Yeah.
But with a saber blade.
But with a saber blade. But they called it, didn't they call it
They called
epee?
it, they called it saber.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I think they did. Now I have to go back and
Go back, because we watched
Now
this.
you got me questioning.
Yeah, because we watched this about a week ago. So it's not quite as fresh. But with that, she kind of deduces that along with the candy with the monogram on it.
Yeah, that she found at her Jack's uncle's place, and of course he pulls it out of his pocket and goes, "Would you like a
butterscotch?"
Butterscotch.
Like, yeah. So she kind of has her suspicions, though she doesn't know that he's got the sword. Nobody knows that he has the sword.
Yeah.
So, but she suspects. And it's quite interesting because don't remember, but does this mean he is on the will and he gets a little bit of inheritance from the uncle's death? Or is he just doing it out of vengeance and...
I don't know. I think, well, it might be the fact that I think he stands in his way. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jack's goal is to marry Kate's mom.
Oh, yeah.
And then, because he said inheritance during the auction. He goes, well, I'm going to be getting my inheritance soon. And his uncle's like, what inheritance? So, dun, dun, dun.
Jack. No, Jack.
And I think if Jack's uncle knew that he was in the will, he would know that inheritance, about that inheritance.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he was inferring to his marriage with Kate's mom.
Get that prenup.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh yeah, I would get that too.
Yeah, but she's, I think Mom is very much in love, and she's thinking like this is, he bought a book about like how to be a stepfather. He's invested, and he would do that to me, and this and that. So we'll see what the story with Jack is. But right now they're setting him up to be kind of like the money hungry, power hungry bad guy.
Yeah, and he plays it very well too, to where he's doing the sappiness thing a little too heavy-handed, kind of a thing, to where even though he's kind of like, oh, he got a How to Be a Stepdad book, and he's quoting from it, it still makes you go, ugh. You're still kind of like, you're doing the right thing, but that's a little sleazy.
And moving on to the final act of episode 2, where Hawkeye does a little catch and release. And I love the conversation between him and his wife, Linda Cardini, who makes a little cameo in this one. They're like, oh, one of Nat's. And I'm like, oh, and that's what I mean by when they sprinkle a little bit of Nat, the memory of her here and there. And even the scene when he, let himself get caught, and when they unhooded him with the lights and he's tied to the chair, and with the way everybody was standing, it did remind me of the Natasha when she was being interrogated in Avengers.
Yeah.
Not quite as cool, because that scene was
because that fight
badass.
scene when she breaks out, I thought was...
She breaks the chair to break herself out.
Well, even when she's fighting in the chair, I'm like, yeah!
Just a little nod, but, Kate's trying to help. She comes through. She wasn't helpful at all because they ended up being duct taped to these like little like one of those like kid animal like those rides, the ones that don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite part of episode 2 is the reveal of, can we just say it? It's Maya Lopez.
It's gotta be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely Echo.
And she's got, what I love is the whole scenery change. It's red, and she's got her hand over the bass, so she can feel the beat of the music. And then, I like that, just in case people don't know that she would be deaf, the first line that the guy gives her is like, we have them both. And he said it kind of normally. Yeah. When you wouldn't notice when he's trying to say it again. She's like, I got you. Get out of here.
I know what you're saying.
I got you. Just let me be. So I really hope episode 3 picks up with her, a little bit more about her, or just exactly where they left off.
Yeah.
And they just go from there, because I would assume that what we saw in the final trailer, the one with the cars chasing, where they're like, you're going to take that car?
That's going to be next.
I think that would be next, because I do believe we see Echo on the bridge before both of them went over the side. So with that is our spoiler kind of recap of episode 1 and 2 of Hawkeye. And I just want to say, I feel, while I enjoyed it very much, this is the series out of the only series out of the 4 Disney Plus series so far that's really kept on calling back to its Avengers roots, and like to kind of like not remind you, but a constant reminder that you're in the MCU and the Avengers happen and the Chitauri attacks happen in New York and this and that. And also, and I know the show is called Hawkeye, and the main mission is for him to finish this up so he can spend an actual Christmas with his family. But this is also very much Haley Steinfeld's show. Like, she is right in the center of it. And I really do want to say, I really enjoy their dynamic. She's with the way they're playing her character, she's a little cocky, she's a little entitled, she's a little ambitious, but she's also not like a bad person.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And also, I think this whole show is going to be driving on the relationship between Kate Bishop and Clint.
Yes.
Because so far this really does have, it was a setup for Kate, then it's a setup for their relationship, and it's going to have a buddy cop kind of duo.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to end up turning into kind of like a master and apprentice, but it's going to be more of a master and apprentice, but with a buddy cop kind of
a
feel to
reluctant
it.
master.
A very reluctant
He's
master.
like, come on.
And I feel bad because now that they're at this point, you know that that they're going to be falling in so much deeper and into this whole underbelly of New York, and all Clint wants to do is get home for Christmas. So it's going to have that vibe to it, where he's like, I just wanted to get that stupid suit so I can go home and celebrate my first Christmas with my family.
Yeah. So, yeah, like we said, first two episodes very much set up. We got a bit of action, obviously. There's explosions, but it's not as, like, if I want to say, like, if I want to compare it to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's not as fight intense as that. Not yet, anyways. But we got to establish, I think, this show with only 6 episodes long, when we're only 2 in. We only have 4 to go. It's really not that far away, and they're an hour, just under an hour each with the credits. So we gotta build up, and that's why I think episode 3 on, it's like we're just sprinting.
Well, even this one felt like it was like, okay, throwing this out, get this going. Okay, we got this. Now we move into here, and yet it also is like not much really happened. It's all just exposition, setup, and I did think that was something that really kind of drug on me a little bit for these first 2 episodes, was that it didn't quite feel like what we've been wanting to see in a Hawkeye show.
Right.
That it was just really, it's like, we're getting there. When you're telling like a story to a whole bunch of kids, and they're like, when's the good part? It's like, we're getting there. We're getting there. And we know it's going to be that one action scene that we saw in the car.
Oh,
and
that's just one of.
I'm hoping that is just the appetizer, so to speak. And then we get more and more scenes like that.
I really think it's going to be, and I think they need it to take the time to set it up. Because if you think about all the other previous 3 shows, all the characters have been established. And I think with this one, yes, Hawkeye has been established in the Avengers film, but Kate Bishop has not been introduced to the general audience who may not be familiar with her in the comic books, or may not even know who she is. So they needed to do a proper introduction of who she is, her background, and then tease the villain, and then we can set off for episode 3 and on. I think it's going to be a lot of action and adventure from here on out. So with that said, those are our thoughts and spoiler recap and review of episode 1 and 2 of Disney Plus's Hawkeye. You guys make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Come on back next Wednesday, because we will be filming a regular reaction like we always have been doing for episode 3 of Hawkeye. Let us know what you thought of episode 1 and 2 in the comments section below. Let us know your favorite parts, your favorite lines, what you're looking forward to the most for the rest of the series. If you have any theories, we love a good theory here, even though 90% of the time we're wrong anyways, but we love them. So drop it all in the comment section below.
Oh yeah, speaking of theories, I mean, there is a little bit of that rumor that Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be in it, because he's going to be Kingpin, because he tweeted out, hey, I love the series, kind of a thing.
Yep.
And he's connected to Echo, so wondering if we're going to get some, connection, because if Vincent D'Onofrio's in it, then we know that Charlie Cox is probably not far behind from making an appearance somewhere.
Oh, I don't think he'll show up in the show.
Oh, no, not
Charlie
in the
Cox.
show. What'd I say?
I thought you said Charlie Cox was...
But no, not in the Hawkeye show.
Oh, just
But what I'm saying is that sooner or later, somewhere in the MCU, Charlie Cox is going to show up as Daredevil.
Yeah, and I do want to say Vincent was very careful with his words. He said, I love these Marvel shows.
Oh.
He was, even though he quote tweeted Hawkeye, I believe he said, I have to check that, but I believe he said, I love these Marvel shows, looking forward to it, or something like that. So it wasn't just like, I love this show specifically because I'm probably going to make an appearance in it. It wasn't anything like that. But anyways, drop your theories, drop your comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and share, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!